So that's kind of how it evolved. And then it was, holy crap, from these 150 stories a week that I'm amplifying in these top 5, 6 updates, I noticed that there's 7, 8, 10 stories out of every week that people really aren't talking about much. So that's why I created a show with Reeve called How Did We Miss That? And we have fun doing that and covering some stories and, again, amplifying content creators, which is what I do. And really, it's mostly about writers and article writers and actual journalists and opinion writers, not about video creators or about pundits necessarily, but people that are actually putting words onto the screen and saving to files and publishing. And we're a big fan of the written word still. It's really important. And it does have a ton of influence over what people are saying and thinking.
100%. You know that journalists are my people. I am not a journalist. I will never pretend to be a journalist. I will never claim that title. That is not who I am. I have an unbelievable amount of respect for legitimate journalists. I'm not talking about, the mainstream media paid propagandists, the Chris Cuomos and the Anderson Coopers. That's not who I'm talking. Those people are not journalists. I'm talking about people.
Actors.
Yes, I'm talking about people like Vanessa Beeley, who we just spoke to last hour, or like Alex Rubinstein, who we'll be speaking to next hour. People like Julian Assange, who put out 100% authenticated, verifiable source documentation. I'm talking about those kinds of journalists, the people like John Pilger and Craig Murray and Chris Hedges, and
Robbie Jaeger and Whitney Webb and people from Off Guardian and Donnie from Sludge and Jonathan K. Cook and Muhammad Al-Mazi. Again, I can name an entire roster. Again, because I follow these people like I used to follow sports. It's so funny. I used to know all the statistics about basketball and baseball and who was on what team and went to what. And now I know who writes for what outlet and who's the strong one. And Hamilton Nolan In These Times. Amazing writing from that dude.
Yes.
The rest of In These Times.
I'm laughing. I'm laughing because my husband makes fun of me all the time because I don't fangirl over like celebrities or athletes. I fangirl over journalists, and he makes fun of me for that.
Writers,
that's why I'm laughing. Yes.
Judd Lagoon, Popular Information, outstanding. He reports on a lot of January 6th, but he follows the corporate money and the corporate hypocrisy. AT&T says we're not going to fund anybody that did the January 6th stuff, and then turns out they're funding them left, right, and sideways. I want to know about that kind of stuff, and people need to know about that kind of stuff.
And they make that kind of information. Yes, and they make that kind of information really difficult to find. You have to legitimately put in work to find those types of people, to find those types of journalists and their work. Unless you're in our circles, like the people that we all kind of know, like we know who we go to and all, but like the average everyday American person would never be exposed. They've never heard of Muhammad Al-Mazi or Kevin Gostola, or you know what I mean? Like it's and that's intentional. And so the algorithm, buries those people in their work, which is why I mean, on this show and on my other shows, I've been trying to use that to elevate those people and to, because again, I love journalists. I really, really do. Actual, real, gritty journalists, people who are out there actively seeking for the truth, no matter the consequences. Those are people that I hold in very high regard. People like Vanessa, people like Eva Bartlett, these are people who go to the locations in which they're reporting on. I love those kinds of people. So I think that what you're doing at Indie Left, Fiorella, yes. I mean, Fiorella Isabel from the Convo Couch is a good friend of mine. She's also part of MCSC Network, which I'm also a part of. Shout out to Nico for bringing us all together. I think that's really important. I think that's really vitally important. It really is.
Agreed.
I had no idea that you were still like a TYT majority report kind of person all the way up to 2020. I had no idea.
I was. Wow. I got a closet full of T-shirts. It's embarrassing as shit. You have no idea.
Oh yeah.
I got pictures of my kids wearing them. It's really bad. It's really bad.
Oh.